Are we live?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to, wait, hold up.
No time like the present, dude. We'll do it.
All right. Well, good job, me.
Hold on, let me see.
That one.
How do I look? Good.
Yeah, talk to the people a bit here. I didn't even tell the Discord.
My table is so sticky. Who was sitting here? Armand? Gross.
Oh man. Can you shut the
me?
door?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I want the people yeah, I'm just gonna let everybody know that it is happening. 1 second, everybody. That's good. Man, it is toasty in here today.
I'm melting.
Good God.
Oh man, San Diego.
I know.
This poor place is just 75 degrees in the middle of December.
It's a good thing my Discord app is working.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
now.
wait.
Techno Kings.
Oh, wait. No, it gave me a little update and then I couldn't close out of it. Super fun.
Cool.
All right. Just popped up again. There we go.
I'm going to pull the YouTube up. I'm going to throw a like on the video,
Yeah,
please,
do that,
everybody.
man.
This is scintillating content we're giving people right now.
I know. Well, this is what happens when you do it live, man. It's authentic.
Yeah,
It's fresh. It's real.
BTS, behind the scenes.
Oh, so how are you, bud?
I'm good, man. You're a year older. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Today was rough because I tried to close down the whole everything yesterday.
Yeah, that was good for you. I'm glad you did that. You needed that, I think.
I did need that, but then I woke up today and I was like, oh my God, I feel like 9 years happened.
Can I tell you what I was picturing, by the way, on your birthday? I was picturing that you and Amber were out to dinner somewhere and you had one ear pod in listening to Alfalfa Pod as you were at dinner. True or false?
That is false. I haven't listened to the episode yet.
Okay.
I know. I'm gonna save that for my I think dog park run tomorrow because I tried to. It's not released on Apple yet. I until Friday, right?
Yeah. How
Yeah.
do I like this thing on mobile? This is so embarrassing how bad I am at tech.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to episode 7 of Irresponsibly Long. We are really flying by the seat of our pants today, but got a big episode, got a lot on the agenda, which I'm trying to pull up in front of me right now.
An agenda that we did not share, by the way.
An agenda that I did not share with Eric.
But I feel very confident just that in our ability to freewheel it.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. We got FOMC. We've got some new revelations in the Bitcoin ETF. Solana keeps on winning. Some cool stuff happening there. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some of the moves we made this week, some of the moves we've made in previous weeks. Get an update on those.
Yeah,
we'll do that next. But let's start off first by saying hello to everybody in the chat who is with us live.
Yeah, who do we got in there?
We got Ollie, as usual. Oh, Edmund's here. Adam's here. Hookham's here. Nick's here. Nick Kangos, what's up? Feech, we got a good crowd. We got a good crowd in there
these
today.
Guys.
Yeah, the live crowd is growing. We appreciate that, guys. And well deserved, I feel like, because we've been feeding some good alfalfa lately.
I do want to kind of do a victory lap. I mean, it's easy in this environment.
It is easy
to make money, but like, I think we all deserve it. Like, we deserve it by sticking through the bear market all together. Like, I think that's a cool thread to pull on. Like, we were all sort of together as one in the Discord and in our videos, and that made the bear market incredibly bearable.
Yeah.
And then now we're getting rewarded, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel right now, like people have PTSD right now. We were just talking about this with Carne Asada Chris before we went live.
Who probably has severe PTSD himself, right? Like,
yes. Yeah. Just the most PTSD. Like he's catching like 5% pumps and like liquid shit coins and just taking profits.
Yeah. Sell. And then FOMOing back in.
but there's this sense as a crypto investor especially, but I think even some TradFi people maybe feel this way.
Well, I mean, on like the growth side, sort of like shit growth, not Magnificent Seven growth, but like just like, even like large cap growth, like Square or something was down, I think 80% from its high.
Yeah, the difference is there's probably not like a Square Discord online where everybody's just trying to get through the Square
Right.
bear market.
Right.
Just really passionate about that little credit card swiper you click into your phone. So it's a little different. But yeah, I think that now's the time in the bull cycle where as a crypto investor, you start feeling like you're like sweating a little bit. You feel like part guilty, part concerned. You're like, wait, why am I making so much money? Something must be wrong. I don't deserve this. This is too easy. But you forget about the part that you actually did put in a lot of work to just be here right now, to be even like catching these gains. And it's actually like a later stage when everybody's in and your Uber driver's talking about it. And that's a different point in time. But like here, like you've been through the ringer. You're allowed to make some money.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have some unreasonable gains. It's okay.
We're already in. We've held it through. We're already in, and now's our time to shine.
Yes.
Here's something from the chat. You got some birthday gift donations yesterday.
Oh, I did.
And that was a happy birthday donation from Rectum and Emma, and Armand said that he was going to pay you out your share. He's going to take 90%.
That's so sweet of Armand to give me a cut. What a guy. All right, but yeah, let's hit the first agenda item I have here for us on the show, and that is that yesterday, on my birthday, Jerome gave us the greatest gift I have received in a while.
I knew you were going to like that one.
The gift of
dovishness.
The dovish transformation. Jerome, in my opinion, and in the opinion of everybody else who I think has a pulse, went full dove yesterday. Curious, you got a take on it?
Yeah, I think this to me signified like success. This was like actual soft landing achieved. And we're not fully there yet, right? Because he hasn't reached his 2% inflation goal. Mm-hmm. But this to me was the signal that was like, holy shit, dude, they pulled it off. They actually pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, so market is basically fully pricing in soft landing at this point and is starting to heavily rotate in the probability of no landing whatsoever, which is maybe a less realistic one. But Jerome had a good quote during the conference, the press conference. We are near or at peak rates. That was basically like...
Yeah, and guess who was on it first? Our own Steven Cesaro. Well played, sir. You said the hiking cycle's over, and that was like...
It's over.
You said that like maybe 6 months ago-ish?
It's been 84 years at this point. Who even knows? Yeah, left side in the chat is worried that Jerome knows something we don't. He wasn't himself. He should have been more hawkish. This is a take from kind of 2008 era, right? Where like they weren't, really, they started cutting and everything seemed like really, really awesome, but actually there was like an iceberg underneath and like we absolutely exploded. You think it's different this time around? There's reason to believe it's different this time around?
I honestly believe that Jerome's doing a great job. Like, I think that he's like not hiding anything. I think he's been very transparent. He's letting us know exactly what he's using to make his decisions. And I just think he obviously bungled the COVID thing. He like took too long to tighten, and he's just been transparent ever since. I think he's doing a great job, and history will look back on J-Pow fondly.
Yeah. My take on this is that the Fed, I mean, I said this like a very early show where I was like, I don't know how much the Fed really matters anymore. Like the idea that Jerome could have like ripped rates up like 200 basis points and anything would have happened after we printed like 99% of all the money that had ever been created and then just started mailing everybody checks, I think is kind of delusional. Like I think the same thing would have happened no matter what. This is kind of like, you ever see Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Is that the first one? Is that when he lifts the goblet?
Yeah, where like at the end he opens it, everybody's face melts and everything.
Oh yeah, I like that. You have chosen wisely.
The weird thing about the movie is that, and maybe I'm completely off here, but from my interpretation of the movie, Indiana Jones is actually relevant to the plot of the movie. Whether he's there or not, the Germans find the Ark, open the box, and their faces melt. And the whole thing is just with Indiana, he has no reason to exist in the movie. That's kind of like the Fed right now. Like, whether or not they hiked or paused, like, it feels like we just printed all this money. We did immense fiscal stimulus. Everything got juiced. We had a supply chain thing, which was resolved, and everything would have spiked and come back down, and we might be at the same place. So I'm not sure the extent to which it ever was like a really meaningful thing.
I think that's a fair take. I don't disagree with you offhand. I think I would just pivot it a little bit to say like here, like, and maybe this is even too far afield, but like we had a conversation, you and I at dinner last week with Dave Hoffman, and we were talking about, Dave doesn't know about finance and economics really, so he's asking us, and you told him like, well, right now, monetary policy is actually quite stimulative. It's like it's still easy policy, which I agree with, and I don't think that people recognize that. Like on a large scale, we have really stimulative fiscal policy. Like the government is running like a massive deficit, and then on the monetary side, like this still feels quite easy, even when Jay Powell is saying like, oh my God, like this like tightening that we've been doing, like I know that there's a lag effect, so we got to like really be early to take the brakes off here. And I'm like, dude, this is all so bullish.
Yeah, there's this interesting thing in economics called the risk-free rate, and what is that? I think people who are much smarter than me like actually disagree on what exactly that is. It's not necessarily the federal funds rate. Like you certainly don't have access to the federal funds rate. And then there's certain people who think it's set by the Fed, but then there's other people who are like, no, the risk-free rate is set by the market. It is just a thing that exists. And the Fed can be north of or south of that risk-free rate. But in reality, they only can sort of pull, the curve in like one particular direction. And then in the other way, they're sort of useless. There's this guy on Twitter, Bicker and Battle, who's like an interesting account I follow, and he uses a process to derive the risk-free rate from the mortgage rates, which he says like for various reasons are more of a free market version of what interest rates actually are versus like certain elements of the curve are like wildly manipulated by the Fed, and there's all this like. You got your QE and your QT, and we got the federal funds rate and whatnot. And it is really interesting. Like when he does his analysis, we had like 8.5% mortgage rates or something at some point this year.
I think it touched into the eight handle.
Yeah, like so he was basically saying, and this is like a theory that was pretty influential on me earlier in the year. When I read this, I was like, oh, I had like this aha moment. Like when I read people who were into MMT explaining why things are happening. Like we had a weird conversation. I think like almost a year ago, you were yelling at me when I told you I thought like interest rates were stimulative.
Oh yeah. I still don't know I agree with that. And let me just go back to your Indiana Jones one, because I honestly just don't care. Right? Like whether or not the Fed had an impact or not, here we are on like the plane is landing softly and inflation is coming down, and I don't care what caused it. Like, I think their tightening cycle had an effect. To what magnitude, I don't know. But here we are, and I'm just pleased. I didn't think they could do it. And
I still don't think they did anything.
Maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But here's where we are now.
It's almost irrelevant. It's like, where are we? Well, we are in a world where we are in a state of Goldilocks, right? Inflation down, growth up. It is like the most bullish paradigm you can be in for risk assets, right? You familiar with like the quadrant model?
Of course, I love the quadrants.
So people who are like there's sort of these four paradigms you can be in, right? When you talk about a combination of growth and inflation, because growth and inflation they can both be up, they can both be down. One could be up, the other's down. One's down, the other's up, right? So that gives you inflation, deflation, reflation, and Goldilocks, right? We spent a lot of the last year or so in deflation, very painful very, very painful time transitioning between like deflation and inflation, both kind of bad paradigms for risk. But Goldilocks, where you have growth continuing to go up while inflation goes down, like if you sort of backtest risk assets in that particular quadrant, it's just absolutely up only. And so that's where we are right now. The question, I think, is like how transitory is the Goldilocks itself? But we were talking about transitory Goldilocks like last January. And guess what? It wasn't transitory. Like everything went up very hard for the whole year. Everything, like stocks, Bitcoin, Solana's up like 400% on the year. It's so interesting that we've been in this paradigm for so long, but yet so many people are still in this weird mindset, right? I think like we've talked about this a lot offline, but it reminds me a lot of COVID, and that there's this particular like mass psychosis taking place where there's this like consensus about reality amongst participants, especially in like a socially networked sense, that does not match what reality is actually happening on the ground, right? And there's like this the way this takes shape right now is like there's been this belief for a long time. Like if you talk to everybody, right, everybody's going to tell you like the economy sucks, it's horrible, Biden is the worst, he's ruining everything, inflation's, but the reality is like the job market's been incredibly robust. Growth has been strong. Stock market is like way up. So what is the disconnect there? Why does everybody think it's so bad and has thought it's so bad for so long when the reality on the ground in the data is that is definitely not the case?
Well, I agree with you, but I want to just add some complexity to it or some nuance to it, where I think like Left Side Capital in the chat was worried that like growth is going to come down dramatically from where we are now. I actually think that could be a very good thing. Like if you're growing too hot, they're going to get even more restrictive, right? Like I think what you want to see is like a normalization broadly to get you into a Goldilocks zone. And right now, I think we're near that. But like, even the labor market, it wasn't that long ago where like companies couldn't hire employees. You just couldn't find them. So then they would have to increase wages to find employees. Now, like that has kind of normalized, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for inflation. That will like bring inflation down over time. And I think if growth is in like a more like a 2% GDP year over year, that would be great for the economy. I don't want to run, 7% GDP growth.
Mm. Well, I have a take for you from Twitter that I found a few days ago that I think actually brilliantly explains what's happening here. Before I do that, I have been notified by the chat that we're dropping some frames. I realized that we're on the Wi-Fi and we didn't plug in the hard line. Is that it right there?
Oh yeah, we put it in the wrong. Is it in the wrong? No, it's on the streaming laptop, isn't it?
Is it plugged in?
Yeah.
Oh, well then never mind. Maybe somebody's just
somebody's computer needs to be upgraded.
Yeah. Sorry, I got like 9 computers over here, guys. It's hard running this thing.
No, we got it.
Yeah, so there's this account on Twitter, Quanshin1, and he did a whole thread on this actually over the summer on why is everybody so like disconnected from reality. And he ran, I'll just TLDR it for people, like he ran like this whole like regression model, all these things plotted like, sentiment versus the economy. He's basically like sentiment over the summer, like this is August 6th, a point in time in crypto when crypto is quite bad, by the way, where I thought there was like a disconnect between reality and how people felt, but sentiment was terrible. Sentiment then was worse than any time in history except for 2008, I believe. And he's like, but then he's like, but it should be here on the basis of all of these things that are happening.
Like what was going on in 2008 was an actual crisis.
Yes.
This is just fear of a crisis.
And what he concluded was there was one element in the model that accounted for, according to him, over 100%. I don't know how that's possible, but like over 100% of the difference. So the entirety of the model, people's sentiment, all came down to this one thing in the model. What do you think it was?
I don't know. What was it?
Interest rates. Is interest rates.
Interest rates.
Yes.
And
the interest rates being high completely warped people's perception of the economy. It was purely the interest rate. And he's basically like, okay, it's because like Americans we just want to borrow. We want to borrow shit. We don't like being told we can't borrow stuff. And also interest rates make houses less affordable, and people really want to buy houses. So people's inability to kind of deficit spend and their perception of like houses being unaffordable with the mortgage payments translates to, oh, the economy's terrible, I hate everything. But in reality, it's not. We just had high interest rates. People just couldn't deficit spend as much as they could before, and housing prices were high. So
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool. I like that. And I agree with you. I think, you do see the risk return on buying a home change directly because of that. Like it looks pretty good to rent right now rather than buy. But hold on. Actually, now that I just said that out of my mouth, I actually just think that mortgage rates are probably going to come down over time. You buy now, lock in, and refinance when they do drop, and like housing prices will go higher.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with my own statement.
Yeah, I mean, this is one element of my bull thesis for the next year plus is that like a peak in rates means that there's also a peak in mortgage rates. And a peak in mortgage rates means that you are at like the absolute trough of that sentiment, right? So now that's only going to go up. Like the sentiment's going to go up. People are going to feel better because those rates are going to come down. That also means that mortgage prices are going to come down, which also means that asset values are going to go higher. Like all the people who own houses are going to get richer and richer and richer. People are going to start panicking, coming back into the housing market probably once they realize that this is happening. There's like an insane like glut of supply nationwide. I was listening to this podcast. You ever listen to the Compound and Friends?
Yeah, that's Josh Brown.
Yeah. The last episode, you should check it out. They had this real estate guy in there, and he was dropping some mind-blowing facts. And it was interesting because he was like quite bullish real estate. And like, again, real estate fits into that mass psychosis where everybody was like, it's over. Like everything's going to crash. Everybody's sitting on the sideline waiting for everything to crash. Shorting home builders. What happened last year? Home builders just to the absolute moon. Like conventional wisdom turned on its head. It was like a beautiful thing. It just goes to show you that when you're investing and everybody's on one side of the boat, there just has to be like one wrong thing about everything everybody's assuming, and the entire boat capsizes and it goes the other way.
I still like home builders actually, and that reminds me. I meant to DM Edmund Rectum on the side because I'm like looking at one specific home builder. I think that is probably a competitor to his, but like I'm just trying to get better at understanding how to analyze these businesses. So I'm very intrigued by that place still because I see the macro and demographic sort of situation where we have just such a shortage of supply. And
I mean, the interesting thing about home builders, right, is that when mortgage rates are super, super high and they have like very high margins in the actual build out itself, they can use some of those margins to basically subsidize the mortgage. And the higher mortgage rates are, the greater the impact of them subsidizing that mortgage. It becomes like a huge selling point and a huge competitive advantage to them to move inventory, because the guy who just like is kind of selling his home, he's not going to subsidize your mortgage. He's not going to do that.
So let me talk about all this. Like we've like been talking about home builders and everything. I think when I look at the market environment now, what I see is things that are performing in like while we're in this Goldilocks sector, right? What's performing the most? Like degen shit is outperforming the market, and when I look at that, I don't see a reason for that to stop in the near term. And I know like there's chatter in the comment section about like, well, is a crash coming, etc. I am certain a crash is coming, but I don't see that.
When?
Yeah, right. Like
when?
You can be
in the next 40 years. Yeah,
you can be bearish for as long as you want, and you'll ultimately be right. But like for me right now, like I want to be long with leverage in some like high beta type stuff.
It feels like post-COVID again.
Okay, so let's talk about that because that money that we all like create out of thin air and on the fiscal side, so stimulative, that hasn't gone away. It was just sidelined for a while and it's just been waiting to be deployed. And I think here we go.
Yeah, I think yesterday was a major inflection point. Not so much because of the rates, but because of the language that was used. Everybody already expected no hike, but like, I think it seems like a bunch of capital like took off the gloves yesterday and was like, all right, here we go. And like you saw like a change online. Like you had Andy Constant, right, who made a nice call on the was it the QRP? I can't even remember the acronyms anymore.
Well, hold on, Andy Constant, because I wasn't on. I'm like a Chem acolyte, and they kind of like were on opposing sides because
he was bearish like a week ago.
So Andy Constant did say buy everything when what was it called, the QRP?
I don't know.
Whatever that acronym was. When they changed the
thing with Yellen in the
when
Treasury
Yellen started extending or decreasing the maturities or whatever. So Andy Constant's most recently was saying that he wants to sell every asset.
Yeah, he did a complete 180. And then yesterday he's like, never mind.
Yeah, so like we actually on Alfalfa, this was like a couple of months ago, we did an episode that was labeled Recession Island. And that was actually using Andy Constant's framework of like, well, here's what the S&P would be if we go into a recession. Here's what the S&P level would be if we go just like higher for longer with no recession. And here's where we will be on the S&P if we go into a soft landing, which he put a very low probability. And right now, I think we're already above his like S&P level for the soft landing. And I don't care. I'm long. I want to be long. I want to be longerer.
It's good to finally have you on Team Bull.
Dude,
it's been a long and arduous process.
Sure,
for
my
me.
portfolio's up. I just calced it. My portfolio's up like 68% since November 1st. Like this is pretty bullish. Like I'm pretty allocated.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mostly own Ethereum, but
yeah. Okay, so this is my point. Like the things that like when you think about what you own, right? Like you buy something because it has a high risk reward, and you want to have like a high probability of it being right or a high magnitude if you're right. Mm-hmm. And what I'm noticing is that in my portfolio, the high probability things with low magnitude are not performing. It's like the high magnitude, low probability things that I've bought are all just dominating. It's like sort of like the YOLO degen style things.
Yeah, the stuff that's performing is just like pure liquidity plays. It's just pure excess plays, like these low cap shit coins and meme coins and these tech stocks that make no money. These stocks that just have AI in the ticker for no reason, but like lose money. Like it's just an echo of COVID. And like I've been wondering for a while if the bear market last year, if that wasn't like a bear market, if I was like, was that just a pullback? Was COVID like the mega impulse? We were like, holy cow, that was like a great, wild and crazy bull.
Wow.
Was this actually just a retracement? Like, are we just
okay?
Going
that's
even
so
higher?
You got to use like monthly candles for that to come into play, or
it's something I've like talked about at times on like the Bitcoin chart. But I think if you do Bitcoin, let me look at Bitcoin versus TLT.
Okay, let me switch over to the charts.
I actually haven't pulled this up myself yet, so I'm curious what.
Okay, here we go. We got the chart up.
Okay, so this is Bitcoin versus TLT. This is like basically Bitcoin over treasuries. TLT is the basically 30-year, or I don't know if it's only 30-year, but
20 year plus.
Right. When you look at this chart, like the last couple years, right? For those of you, unable to see this, sorry, but we obviously had if this was like a 1 minute chart, we always do like what would you think if this was a 1 minute chart? Because we think differently with like 3 month candles versus, even though we shouldn't.
I would love to hear what you think about this chart if it was a 1 minute chart.
This looks like a chart that consolidated, had an impulse move up, had a slight retracement, but is just going higher again, right? This doesn't look like a chart that topped and like went into like a downtrend, right? This is the same trend. This is consolidate, impulse, retrace, impulse back up. Like this kind of fits into what I was saying here, right?
Damn,
like
I think this is very valuable. Are you on a 3-month?
This is a 3-month chart of Bitcoin over TLT, Bitcoin over Treasury.
It's like, very rare that anybody takes this long of a view, but this makes complete sense to me.
Like, where do you think this chart is going? You think that was it? You think we just topped there?
Yeah, we just broke through.
You think that's it, or do you think this thing is just going to go, whoop?
Yeah,
way up.
Yeah,
I think it's the latter, and I think most people weren't prepared for that. They weren't using that as their sort of frame of reference. They were like, oh, this is bull run over. Now we bear. Maybe we go bull run again. They're sort of thinking like up, down, up, down, up, down. They're not thinking about consolidate, way up, breather.
Oh my God.
Even higher. And they're not thinking of it as part of the same cycle. But I think this is all part of the same cycle, the same crazy fiscal impulse combined with just the implosion of all fiat currency and all things of like non-hard value over the next like 5, 10, or 20 years or however long that takes. Like, I think this is all one ride.
Can I tell you that I'm guilty myself of this line of thinking? I was of the opinion that we would have like a lost decade of just like pretty much sideways as we like go through these like immense hurdles of like trying to tackle inflation and all this crap. And like, it just seems like we beat it. We beat the boss, and now it's like, what now?
I mean, Felix Zulauf, I was listening to his latest interviews. I know that Arthur Hayes is a fan of him. I sort of share his viewpoint that like it's going to be a roller coaster, and like I have been allocating to this bull thinking that, okay, there's actually a very good chance that this just like very quickly pops. But even then, when it does pop, that's still just the start of the meltdown of all the currencies. Only then is that really the start of it. Like, we haven't gotten to the point where the system has like basically been on the verge of catastrophic collapse yet. We're still chilling right now. We're still chilling. The system is chugging along, and it's got a lot of money in it. Even after we go through this run, there still has to come that point where stuff breaks, the wheels fall off, and then all of the powers that be go, oh my God, this entire system of fiat, this entire thing that we've built the entire Western world upon is predicated on an ever increasing amount of growth and debt juxtaposed with a population that is not going up. Like, it's just a math problem. And then either you keep the game going or it collapses in upon itself like a freaking black hole. And then everything's over.
I love this. I'm certain this wasn't on your agenda, but I do want to dig in a little bit because
you don't think financial system equals black holes on agenda? It's right here, bullet point 90.
No, I think Bitcoiners are sort of like just programmed to be privy to this, and I don't think that mainstream is ready to hear what you're spouting, but it's like, it's only a matter of time. It's going to happen. And then I looked back at previous iterations of like hyperinflation in different countries, and I was like, well, what happens to asset prices in different asset classes, and what is your best move when this happens? Not if, when this happens. What is the best move? And I think that's the question I have for you. Is like, what do you think you want to do leading up to this thing that you're just describing?
Just own anything. Ideally, things denominated in dollars if you have to own stuff, because the dollar is probably the least dirty shirt in the laundry, as everybody likes to say. But like, I don't know. There's going to come like a point where we finally get to that meme where everybody's like, oh, well, you're going to be an irresponsible fiduciary at some point if you don't have 1% of your clients' portfolio in Bitcoin, right? Yes. Everybody's been memeing that for since the beginning, right? But I think that actually will happen at some point.
Yeah,
And
I
now
think-
that there's a financial incentive
Yeah.
for it to happen at the backs of, BlackRock and Fidelity, it's like almost a certainty that will happen. Like if
And
you just follow
1% is FUD, by the way. I mean,
1% is FUD, right? Like I think Jonah Van Borg's hilarious, uncomfortable 5 to 10% will become the norm. Like it's just gonna be normal for people to have 10%. That's boomer shit. Like millennials and Zoomers and soon to be the Gen Alphas, like they don't own gold. Like they don't even own stocks. I might be misquoting this, but like I heard that millennials only control like 3% of the stock market, and like boomers are above 50.
Wow.
Like 59%.
That's shocking to
59
me.
to 3.
No, I think millennials got to be higher than that, but I get your point.
Here, you rant a bit, and I'll jammy myself.
Okay, I get your point. I think when I looked back in history at these like versions of hyperinflation, what I noticed was that when the shit hits the fan, all assets get smacked. Like even the ones that you think would be hedges, like they all get smacked. Like I think this is true just broadly in every like.
What? It depends on how the shit is hitting the fan. If the shit is a deflationary bust, yes. If the shit hits the fan via runaway inflation, no. Like the stock market in Venezuela and Argentina just goes up like crazy every year. It doesn't go
like
down.
in Bolivar terms.
Yes, it just goes up.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I was looking at Weimar, Germany, and like even there, like I think gold was your best play, which I think Bitcoin is now sort of like the better version of gold. So like maybe Bitcoin just never fucking like maybe it even performs better under a situation like this. And that's like the best thing you can do. But I was looking at like housing prices in like Weimar, Germany. Like real estate got smacked just because everyone's poor. Like everybody is poor. What happens then when everybody's poor? It's like no one can buy anything.
Everybody's not going to be poor though, because the people who own assets are just going to the boat is going to keep getting more and more and more lopsided. Like just the way the whole system plays with like the money printer, the people closest to the money printer just keep getting all of the money until I guess you have like violent uprising or something. But in reality, I think you're just going to see, many presidents just all become basically like everybody's just a populist now. Everybody's just giving money to like we're going to start. I think the next big thing, and I don't know if it's under the next president or the one after, is you're going to start seeing like heavy subsidies, I think, for people to like get into homes. It's like the thing that like pains people the most, that makes them the angriest. And I don't know if that's like subsidizing like new home buyers in some sort of way, or like incentivizing sellers to like get off their. I don't know, but like I'm pretty sure like you already saw RFK, introduce like a proposal for some like 1% or some, or maybe it was like 3% government subsidized mortgage. This is going to happen, but like there's no free lunch. Like if you start subsidizing mortgages, like what's going to happen to the price? Well, the housing is going to go up, so you got to subsidize it some more. Where does it all end? I don't know. You got to protect yourself.
Yeah.
By the way, I was wrong. It's not 3%. It's 2%. 2%. Millennials control
2% of the stock market, like
equity.
Wealth.
Oh my God. And
This is
boomers at
insane.
56%. Yeah.
Well, what makes up the rest? It's
Gen
fucking
X.
6-year-olds.
We still get some silent generation, right?
Okay.
And Gen X controls like a pretty.
What's
good
Gen
chunk.
X? I'm like lost on all these letters.
Gen X is like the most like the kind of like the Silicon Valley VC guys. The guys born in like the 70s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's like pre-boomer, or sorry, like post-boomer.
Yeah.
But yeah, not quite millennial. That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, good rant. Let's pivot on a related note to the Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah.
There were some interesting updates going around Twitter today. Some mild panicking, I thought. You wanna update the listeners on that?
Yeah. So I guess like, I don't know about ETF structures until I'm looking at this stuff, right? And then I have to like dive into it and understand. So there's two kinds. There's like two ways to create a this like basket of assets, right? Like you have like a Bitcoin ETF, right? So there's the cash and in kind. Cash and in kind. Let's just keep it simple. Cash and in kind. In kind means you give your Bitcoin and they give you ETF shares. Cash means you give them cash and they give you ETF shares, and then they go use your cash to buy Bitcoin in the same level. I think the only problem that people have with this, or like the only pause that people have with this, because I actually don't care. Either way is fine. But the problem that people have is that like BlackRock doesn't have Bitcoin. So like for them to be, first of all, BlackRock is actually like fighting for in kind, but like,
are they?
I mean, they're on record.
Well, I'll put that on the table here.
Okay,
for a
so
second.
let me
We'll
just
come
say
back to
that. Let me just like give an overview. So the SEC is pushing for this cash redemption, and I basically don't care. Either way is fine with me. Either way, people are going to be buying more Bitcoin, and I think that's fine. I think the one that stands out to everybody is like Grayscale, because Grayscale already has a fuckload of Bitcoin, not cash, because they've already taken in cash and bought Bitcoin. So like if there's an ETF conversion for them, they're going to have to convert their Bitcoin to cash and then
Bitcoin, cash,
to
Bitcoin,
back to Bitcoin.
and then the IRS goes, "Oh, looks like that's a taxable event."
Exactly. So that's the only one that stands out to me as like this is a problem. And I'm a GBTC enjoyer in my tax advantage accounts. So like this,
If I could, isn't it a problem for everybody though? Like, my understanding is that this is a thing that exists in a lot of mutual funds, where when you'll be holding the fund itself, and you didn't sell, and the stuff in it goes up, and at the end of the year, you actually have these taxable gains as a result of this because of this mechanism happening under the hood, as far as like the redemptions and so a Bitcoin ETF holder under this format would be hodling their ETF. They might never sell it, but in a year where Bitcoin gets up, it goes up, they're going to get hit with a tax bill anyway, right?
yeah, and that.
But you just don't think it's that big of a deal.
Well, that part I don't actually care about like so much. I just care about this initial conversion, like because that's going to be big.
Which one? The
Grayscale, like if all this is cash redemption, and just to be clear, in kind means you deposit Bitcoin and get out ETF shares versus cash, where you deposit cash and get out ETF shares.
Isn't this better from that perspective in the short run? Because
for Grayscale or just broadly?
No, for us. Like,
well, I'm a GBTC holder, so us means like
us non-great. Yeah, when I say us, I mean people who don't own Grayscale. Like, one of the problems was people were worried about there being this like flood of Bitcoin onto the market from Grayscale in the event that there was some sort of conversion taking place, right? So this basically nixes that from happening in the short run, right? Because Grayscale presumably is going to look at this and go like, we're not going to eat all of these taxable gains, so we're just going to we're not going to convert.
And I think their average entry price, if you just aggregate everything, is like 15K Bitcoin. So like it would be
fat gain.
It'd be fat gain, but it'd be like a pretty massive tax bill that gets spread across all holders. Like this, like you can never sell your GBT shares and still get hit by this tax bill. And I'm not even positive how you get hit, because I don't think I would actually have to owe taxes. But I think what would happen is that you're like the NAV just trades at a discount because it doesn't have, it's just like it has to pay.
I mean, we're probably getting too into the
minutia
of the. We'll get a little out of our.
But I think like on the broad scale, whether it's cash or in kind, for all like the new participants, it doesn't matter. Like cash is fine. I'm totally fine with it, and I think that's how like the GLD ETF operates, is like a cash redemption. So that's fine.
GLD doesn't have this mechanic as far as I'm aware, and I think that's why people were hoping Bitcoin would be the same. Like I think if you hold GLD, you're not getting hit with a tax bill every year that gold goes up when you don't sell. I know that Hal Press made his return to Twitter in recent days.
Oh, you got anything to dunk on him with?
Some Halfa. Hal is quite bullish ETH BTC now, which I agree with and have been for a little bit now. But related to this, like he has a concern that I share, which is that like, okay, this basically makes the Bitcoin ETF just worse than holding spot Bitcoin. What is the effect going to be if that's the case? Like, are a bunch of people going to not come in and buy now?
No, it's just like, so that point I agree with, but I just don't think that matters, because like the type of investor that the ETF is even appealing toward is already somebody who doesn't own spot Bitcoin.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So who cares?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if they knew how to buy spot Bitcoin and they wanted to, they would have. Now they have this like option to do it in a way that they're comfortable with.
Yeah. There's this whole universe of capital that is controlled and gate kept by people in similar professions to.
I mean, what's the fucking number you just threw out on like the number of old people or the percentage of old people that control the stock market?
I mean, there's trillions of capital just sitting around that can't really buy Bitcoin.
You think they know how to use a fucking Bitcoin wallet? Give me a break.
It's not even that. It's like the people who control that money don't really have a vehicle that they can buy and collect like a commission on, right? Or they're working through some bank and the bank doesn't have that product, so they don't buy it. But once BlackRock has that product, I think you're correct. Like, people aren't really going to, like, there's already a bunch of somewhat tax inefficient stuff people do with mutual funds, and this is probably just FUD. I happen to believe that this is like kind of, I feel like this has to be done intentionally by BlackRock, right? It basically cements them as the first person out the gate, because now Grayscale can't really convert. And then they get all that initial capital. Maybe it's them, maybe it's Fidelity. And maybe like 6 to 9 months later, the SEC comes back and they go, okay, we're comfortable with in-kind now. And it's too late. Like BlackRock and Fidelity, or maybe one or both of them have completely run away with the race. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know if that's like conspiratorial, but it just makes sense. It makes logical sense to me.
I think the conspiracy sounds reasonable. I basically don't care. Like, what I'm thinking is like, so I own GBTC, I own the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and what I would do, right, like, because in these like TradFi accounts, there's no other way that I can get exposure. So it's right now it's Grayscale or nothing pretty much, and as the price of Bitcoin keeps rising, which I think it will, I'm just gonna keep holding Grayscale, and then guess what? When like the ETF approval happens, I'll just switch it over to BlackRock's version, and I don't care. You know, like I might get a haircut on a bit of a discount, but like that discount's been narrowing for a long time, and I think it's fine. All
right, cool. So people shouldn't panic over this, in our humble opinion. But who are we? On a related note, I wanted to talk about MicroStrategy. I know you've been bearish on them because there's this premium built into the MicroStrategy stock relative to their Bitcoin holdings. I think last I checked, it was like 41% or something outrageously high.
41% of what their market cap is like Bitcoin. Is that what you're saying?
No, like if you basically value like all the components of the company, and then you look at like the implied valuation of Bitcoin versus what they actually hold, I think it's at something like a 40% premium or something crazy like that.
Oh, wow.
And I think that is what Saylor is exploiting to sort of keep funding the purchases, because he's able to work some TradFi wizardry in there and just kind of keep.
Well, that's exactly right. And you know what? Like, so the same mechanism is actually going on with the Bitcoin miners, where they sell their common equity and take those funds and buy Bitcoin, or, you know, create Bitcoin with it. You know, it's simple math. Get rid of your common equity, get more Bitcoin. And the idea is that this is accretive to the investors in the long term, so long as Bitcoin price goes up high enough. I think for MicroStrategy in particular, I'm incredibly bearish the MSTR BTC ratio, MicroStrategy can continue going higher as long as Bitcoin price goes higher, of course.
Yeah. I mean, this does on a tax advantage basis make MicroStrategy look more appealing than like the BlackRock ETF. But is that enough to overcome that like 41% and the sort of maybe what you feel to be inevitable decline of that? Probably not, I would think.
I'm not even like, that's such a minute difference like that. I don't even care. Like what I really care about is like, if you just hold spot Bitcoin, you're getting Bitcoin price. There's like an inordinate amount of crypto Twitter or Bitcoiners, I guess, who believe that MicroStrategy is a levered Bitcoin play. And I don't think it is. It's like you're just getting dumped on by Saylor so that Saylor can buy more Bitcoin.
But what he's doing reminds me of the GBTC trade from last cycle, where there was this sort of like premium and people were kind of like exploiting that premium in a particular way that was driving the purchase of spot Bitcoin. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but it feels the same to me. Like there's this premium, Saylor's exploiting that premium. That premium is basically translating into spot Bitcoin demand. Does that mean just Saylor just keeps buying us up as long as that premium exists? And then what happens when does Saylor keep buying? How does he keep buying? Is he going to keep buying Bitcoin when the premium vanishes and Bitcoin's like 200K?
Right. When his common equity equals his Bitcoin holdings, he can no longer do this trade. Yeah. And that is fine. I mean, he probably makes more money in the long term. I think this is his math. He makes more money in the long term just holding Bitcoin than he does from running his data business, which I probably agree with.
Yeah. Crazy times. Left Side Capital in the chat saying, Gary laughed at a Bloomberg reporter when asked about the Bitcoin ETF on Tuesday. Seemed extremely devious. What if the BTC ETF is all smoke and mirrors?
Well, then we're fucked, Left Side Capital.
Yeah, we are fucked. But I also think it's that's also about the silver lining of today's stuff is like, I feel like it reduces the probability of this not happening to like almost zero at this point. So like, I don't.
Yeah. Like
I don't.
Who is it? Eric Balchunas or whatever. That's the guy who's been following it pretty closely. Like he and his team have been on record saying 90% plus conviction that this is going through. I think it's 99% plus now.
Yeah, like he'd probably say close to this. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, I think we're good on that front. I think that the scarier thing is what happens when the ETF happens. Is there buy volume? Does price dump after? Does it dump before? Does it fake everybody out and look like it's going up, but then it dumps like a month later? Does it never dump? I don't know. Like, but
it's who knows? But I'm pretty certain it's gonna be another sell the news event in the near term, because you're not gonna get these fucking boomers and Gen Xers or whatever buying that much Bitcoin right out of the gate. You know, like all of this is front running supposed demand that probably won't be there. So it's just gonna be a sell the news in the short term. But, you know, this does bring sort of over time this like systematic buy demand that hadn't existed before. So
I still continue to be skeptical that it's sell the news. It's just going to be like the most consensus sell the news that's ever sold. And it's going to be like the recession in 2022 call.
Well,
you know?
You've been in crypto longer than I have. When has sell the news not been the case in your experience?
Pretty much never.
Yeah.
Pretty much never. But I don't know. Like we have so much PTSD. This is like the thing that we finally got, and we're like, no, I don't know.
Well, maybe like here's my counterpoint. Like just devil's advocate myself. Maybe like the environment, the market environment, the universe of investments is so Goldilocks and so bullish that everything just keeps going higher.
Here's an in-between scenario that I don't think a lot of people are considering. It is possible that Bitcoin has front run the ETF trade, or maybe we go to 50 something thousand, right? But we sort of front run that trade, and that Bitcoin like kind of sells off. But that doesn't mean that crypto sells off. What it means is all that capital then goes and rotates into alts, into Ethereum.
That's
right?
exactly what I think.
So
happens.
that could be very interesting.
Because
scenario.
we've already seen what happens when an ETF is looming. you front run the trade, and then you basically sell the news.
Yeah, but are you selling the cash, or are you going to be like, ETH
No,
looks pretty
you
good?
just rotate to the next one that's going to have an ETF,
Which is
ETH.
yes. So that's the trade I've been playing for a bit. I'm not actually sure about the ETH ETF prospects. Like, I think more likely than not, but like I do want to rotate a lot of my ETH out after that trade, because I think that ETF is far from 100%.
Can I ask you, like, if Balchunas was 90% plus on the Bitcoin ETF, do you have like a personal probability on ETH ETF?
I cannot stress this enough. I am pulling a number out of my ass, but I would guess it would be like 65, 70% next year.
That's kind of like right in the range I was thinking of, like 50 to 70%.
Which is not a high enough number for me to have ETH run to like 3K plus and still hold that much of my portfolio in ETH. Like, I would want to, I would think like maybe some of these like dumb plays have like cooled off by then, but like I kind of want to get back into them. Maybe something like a Solana like actually falters in January in ETH terms. Maybe I can up that allocation in my portfolio. Maybe there's a couple other things that come back to earth. That's what I'd be probably looking for in that scenario.
I agree. I've been thinking lately that I am overexposed to ETH. Like, of all things in my portfolio, it's like
everybody thinks that right now, which I think is good. Maybe that's just the contrarian in me speaking, but like I feel good. I feel good about ETH. I feel good about ETH BTC right now. I think it's
the chart.
Yeah, I actually haven't looked at the ETH BTC chart in a bit. And by a bit, I mean a few days, but yeah, I mean, we're still just, we kind of bottomed at that range low around 0.05 or so. Seems to be a magic number. And now there's a contingent of people who are like, oh, well, we're clearly going to run this low and capitulate, and then I'm going to buy it. But then there's people like me who are like saying, no, I actually think this is kind of point of maximum risk reward on ETH BTC, given the timing of everything that's happening, given what we talked about with ETH being bullish in January, with BTC possibly like front running the entire ETF trade in advance, and that capital wanting to rotate. I am pretty constructive on it, and I like what we've got going on here. Got a bit of a low time frame triple bottom in place. I think I have an alert set for this magic diagonal here.
Oh, you're
just want to see that.
You're playing triangles now.
Oh yeah, I just want to see those. I actually do use these in altcoins sometimes for like breakouts. Like, this is not something I ever use in the stock market, but I don't know. I feel like alts, you really have to just decrease your IQ by 40 or 50 points to trade them successfully. So yeah, I feel pretty good about that trade. Before we talk about any new moves, let's do a quick recap on some of the stuff we've been telling the listeners about. Make sure that we still feel good about said trades. First up, we've got Coin, which is just
okay. Can we talk about this one? Because
on a moon mission.
Because I haven't taken any profits here. I'm diamond handing.
I have
this
not
thing.
sold a single share. I hodled from 45 to 113 all the way back down. Felt like a moron for a bit.
You're a DJ.
We're back up again. Like, when I zoom out, I just don't see the purpose of it. It's a
okay. So I need your technician's opinion on where the order blocks come in and where the supply zones are, because at some point we are going to find resistance, right? This is how many like days or weeks in a row is this thing just up only?
A lot.
That's
my technical term. Wait, how many straight green weekly candles have we put in? We have put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight green or white candles, depending on what your chart looks like here. Not only that, but we haven't even taken a weekly low.
It's insane. So I know that I've seen this on crypto Twitter, but like there seems to be kind of like a magic number in Bitcoin with like weekly candles, like 8 maybe.
I think we broke the record already.
8 weekly candles in a
Yeah.
row has always been kind of like a point where you're just like, okay, time to cool it down.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like where I'm worried about coin is that there is, there's supply above us. It's, high time frame supply.
Well, give me the number, sir, because I already have my calls, my short calls to.
It's like roughly 150 to 200 or so.
Yeah,
Maybe you can call it that.
yeah.
That
I'm
block
like,
there. Yeah. And then I don't like sometimes the mid range of these large zones are good areas, right? So that would be like 178 of this zone. And that's not to say we're gonna hit this and go back down to the recent low. It just means like you could have like a pullback here before continuing higher. Like I think this zone is gonna absolutely get shredded. I don't expect it to bounce here and then not go back for like 3 years, but like I wouldn't be YOLOing into Coinbase at like 170. I just wouldn't. The other thing that you have, you've got kind of like a nested zone here. You've got a weekly fair value gap that is 161 to 183 or so. So I don't know, I'll call the mid range of that like 173 roughly. It's going to be a interesting spot. So this is an area where I would consider like selling covered calls on my stack for some income, for some hedging purposes, and feel pretty good about it. But
well, that's exactly how I do it, and I've sold the 185 strike, the 200 strike, and then the 250, all in January 19th, just to make sure I don't get fully just blown out of my position.
Yeah, and if you do get a retrace, back into this 72 to 115 zone, probably just the top of it if the market continues to be strong.
115? Come on, dude.
Oh, we could certainly go back there. Certainly. I mean, people should not think that there's no way we're going back to 115.
Well, I'd be buying the shit out of it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, you say that, but these things look very scary when they happen. All right, let's move on to next one we've been talking about. Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers.
It's not Weight Watchers anymore. It's just WW.
WW International.
WW. Is that what the name of the company is? Just
Yeah.
WW International?
International. The rebrand was to get the focus off of the weight.
They should just called it W. WW.
DUBYA.
W. I guess a certain president may have tainted that name, but yeah, it's looking good. Actually, we were averaging in around this $7 or so level, roughly, because we drew a line there.
Yeah.
Very nice line.
Those lines are magic.
We basically said, like, look, if this structure is going to hold as like a bullish market structure shift, and we're going to continue higher, we want to see the low at 615 hold. The tough thing was that we've had a nasty sell-off to this level. Like, this is from October. Yeah, just October this year. I mean, 13 to 6. Like, we sold off 50%.
That's crazy.
In a few weeks, right? So when I see price moving that hard into a level I want to buy, I don't just buy there because like momentum matters. Like sometimes when price is like nuking, you gotta like maybe you can still buy small, which is what I did, but you gotta kind of see how it reacts. Like when it comes into a level kind of more gently, then you can kind of up your size a little bit more. But I was waiting to see what happens when we hit this level, and it's been good. We just sort of glided in there, been consolidating, and then had a nice move out today. So if we get a pullback kind of into the $7 region, I'm gonna add more to this. And yeah, it looks. So
did you see, by the
good.
way, did you see what Nick posted in the Discord about WW?
I did not. What did he post?
He posted that. Oh man, what's her name? Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah attributed her weight loss publicly to WW International, their program.
Oh, is that why we're mooning?
Yeah, their program and also their prescription program. So she's on the GLP-1s plus the points system. and that came out, and now we're mooning.
All right, pump my bags, sir.
Oprah.
Pump my bags. Got a few other things here. I'm not gonna hit everything we've talked about, but I think you want to talk about Hood as well.
Yeah, so WW and Hood are good examples of things that I haven't like filled up a full bag of, because I was thinking the same as you. It was like, well, particularly with WW, like I don't know if I want to buy this falling knife here. Hood, I have higher conviction on, but I still haven't filled up entirely.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I still have actually the chart where I mapped out my, like you can see where I bought. I bought in the middle of that thick candle. I was like, wow, I'm just gonna buy this candle.
It's working out so far.
It's a good thing I did, because it's ripped up like 20% from that candle with no pullback. Now there may very well be a pullback, and if that happens, I will deploy the rest of my bag somewhere in the $8 to $10 range would be ideal, but I doubt it gives such a clean little retest. I think far more likely maybe we just run some of these lows, maybe fill that gap.
Yeah, what's that gap at? I would
Like 1048s or so to 1083. You got a little 12-hour gap there. Are there any daily gaps? Yeah, we got a daily gap. So maybe fill that daily gap that starts at 1050. Maybe that's a spot.
Sounds great. Sounds juicy.
Sounds ideal if we can get it. Anyway, we're definitely getting a little late on the time, so let's move on to let's talk about Riot. We've been talking about Riot a bit. I'll just check in with our old pal here.
I love all the miners.
The miners are like, God, I'm in a bad state right now because my option is fully in the money.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got 4 months to go till expiry. So like the price, like an 8% day like we've had, like the price of the option contract is just like, whew.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, don't look at your portfolio. So
I've actually started to branch out from just Riot and Mara. Those are the two that I'm long, because I think that all of these miners represent the same trade, and some have pumped less. But like the idea is that these businesses are shitty until they're not, and they're not when the price of Bitcoin goes high enough that their margins actually get to be compelling.
do you know what those numbers are? Like I obviously don't, because I don't do that. I don't research.
So like they're all like producing Bitcoin at probably like 15K a coin, and some even less. So like this is a favorable market for them, and some are more efficient than others, but like I don't care. Sometimes you want to optimize for who holds the most on their balance sheet versus like who's creating more or who's doing it more efficiently. At the end of the day, I think I just want exposure to many more of them than just the two that we've identified. And there are some other ones, like CIFR is one that I'm looking at, that like Cypher hasn't really pumped to the same degree.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like down as everything else is up. And, if they're doing the same business, they're like, Cypher is interesting because it actually is one of the more efficient miners. Like Riot and Cypher are two of the top three most efficient, meaning they spend least amount of energy to create Bitcoin. And that's cool.
I'll have to look into it. One of the problems I have is I don't have like any like long dated exposure. Like almost all of my options are for March.
Well, I think that's good in the near term, because you're getting that extra boost. Like most of mine are actually the leaps, which I'm comfy in, and I'm just happy to sit in those for the next like year plus. But like, I just want more exposure to these.
Yeah, like I was thinking on any sort of like, Bitcoin pullback, like an interesting play would be to start building like a longer term position on some of the stuff. So maybe I'll look into Cypher. Charts certainly at an interesting level right now.
Yeah, so I obviously don't read charts the way that you do. I don't read charts at all. So like I don't know if this looks compelling. This looks like lower highs and then breaking down below some level. Like Maybe it is best to just own the best.
It's interesting. It's interesting, but like when I look at Riot, I can squint and say, okay, maybe this is accumulation. Maybe this is going to end up being like a manipulation leg. And then if you do your projection targets, you got target 1 at $46 and then an easy target 2 here up at probably all-time highs, $80.
So what about
when
when
you
you
look
do
at that
your,
as a trade, and I'm like, damn, that's a good trade, especially from $9 and possibly the span of like under a year.
right? So what do you see when you do your standard deviations there? Like, what does it tie out to? Like the 2.5 level, the 4 level that you commonly like to use as
Yeah, I'm looking
exit
for a
targets?
target in the 2 to 2.5, and that's like this high here is like an obvious target at $46 or so, and then
Oh my gosh!
you go to the 4 and you're at 80.
I mean, I was literally thinking of exiting this position when it got to $20 a share, and
No,
it moved so fast.
No,
It-
it looks like the chart pattern is gonna end up being like this,
God, it went so fast that like $20 is going to happen like 2 weeks from now. So
God willing, man. God willing. It is getting to the point where I'm wondering, like, should I shave some stuff? Like, it is a March expiry. I did say like 10 minutes ago that maybe Bitcoin front runs the ETF, and if we have like a month of sideways in Bitcoin, it's a lot of time decay. So yeah, I maybe close out most of that position and then maybe rotate it into a leaps position. Could be interesting for me.
cool.
You got anything else in stonk world? Otherwise, we're probably gonna
No, let's go to crypto land.
let's go to crypto. So, big thing happening in crypto. Everybody's talking about it. The incel trade.
Yeah.
Incel trade.
What does this mean?
This is Injective and Celestia.
Oh my God, these are up so much.
So much. Injective is just it's a hell of a chart. We are at full price discovery. It's up about 3,000% on the year. Hit $33 this week. I capitulated in at like $24 or so, like yesterday. It's already up like
Good for you,
a
man.
bunch.
Like you got to buy at some point on these things.
I don't know. I don't own a lot, and it's just like where do you buy that chart?
Yeah, I mean, much earlier.
I don't know. Like it worries me that everybody's talking about these things now, and I don't think we're at like full retail participation level, like full PVE level. Like I think it's still a little PvP.
Yeah,
So I do worry some of these alt trades are a little bit early. Not that they're not going to go a lot higher, but that even these shorter term tops can be pretty nasty. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like if we do get that rotation from Bitcoin into alts, could be pretty sexy. TIA, the other half of this trade, continues to just be like an absolute beast. Fresh chart.
fresh charts, everybody.
Fresh chart.
I'm just putting the camera.
Untainted.
I'm putting the camera back on you because I want to look at a man who loves a fresh chart.
It's just like so fresh,
Okay,
so
now
clean.
I'm going back to the chart.
So up only. No pain. All of the holders are having a great time. Man. Yeah, I told David this was going to $100, and he gave me a bunch of very thoughtful reasons why.
We don't need data availability.
I was like, bro, fresh chart. Fresh chart. So yeah, still get a little bag of that. The airdrop farming on the TIA ecosystem is something that I know people are really going ham over. Good opportunity there for some generational wealth potentially. Probably the best bang for your buck you can get, I think, right
God.
now if you
And,
just want to just make some free money.
And for people who don't know how to do that, come into our Discord. There's an airdrop Alfalfa thread where there's a lot of participants in there who are very welcoming and probably willing to help usher people
Good shout
into
out.
these.
Love it. We've been talking about AI crypto. You need it in your portfolio. Render has been our Bitcoin of AI pick, and Render is just having itself a week. It's having itself a year. Big day today. Hit almost the $5 mark. This thing is going to be in price discovery at some point. Where's all-time high? $7.9. Yeah, not much else to say there. Probably by a little bit if you don't have any.
And the thesis here is the confluence of AI and crypto
good.
together.
AI good. Other big play in AI right now. Well, I guess what is the other one? I don't own it because I'm like, it's a scam, and it probably is. Is it TensorFlow? Is it? I should know this. Can't remember it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's Tau. Yeah. BitTensor. The BitTensor. You can't even buy this thing on a real exchange yet, huh?
Well, how do you buy this?
MEXC. Oh, God. Oh, good Lord. Well.
My God, what are the market caps on something like this? Like,
oh, my God, dude. My buddy told me this was a scam that was going to pump in October. That's $75. We're at $375. Oh, pain.
It's a nice pump.
This is like a good example of why when you just monkey see green candle, monkey ape, right? Right here, you're probably like, oh no, man, I don't know. It's already up so much.
That's
just
literally
like,
me.
oh God, and it's just I'm buying into resistance, and then it's just like, oh,
jeez.
All right, so that stupid thing. I'm not endorsing. I'm not endorsing any of this stuff. You're on your own. But Fetch AI has been another interesting play. Oh God, I had the limit orders. They were right. They were
you
right.
Being a dick for a tick?
I was a dick for a tick. I thought I wasn't being a dick for a tick because I really wanted to buy like in here, around like 40 cents or so. So I was like, I'm gonna set it above the top of the zone, and it just absolutely.
I mean, wise words from you yourself.
I wasn't a dick for a tick. I was a dick for about 40 ticks.
But you said
a
in a bull market, you can't expect these things to come.
Yeah, this is like a trade though, and like if you want to take a trade, you got to. Oh my God, this thing's up 50%. This is like 2 days. What the hell? Holy, man, I hate bull markets, man. It's just just nonstop pain. All right, so we missed that one. We missed it. Like last thing we've been talking about, our one of our lotto tickets. The shitcoin lotto ticket has been BookieBot.
Oh, I like this because I'm in on this one.
BookieBot. I like the BookieBot chart right now. You got your consolidation. You got your support. You got your little. Depending on how you want to draw it, I don't know. I don't care how you draw it. Look at that. Breakout. Big candle. Retest, but a little bit more around 210 or so. And then I'm hoping like we're just doing the same pattern here, right? Breakout, consolidate. Whoop. There's our...
So BookieBot's interesting to me because people like gambling, obviously.
Yes.
And then this one is like sub $3 million market cap.
Yeah, it's probably about 3 million right now.
$3 million. Like this thing could just send.
It could, if it was worth Ethereum, it could do.
I don't want to play that game.
It could do a 400,000x.
But like, even to go to like 8 million. I mean, to just still be.
No, we don't buy this thing for it to go to 8 million. We buy this thing for it to go to 0 or like 200 million.
So have you? I'm switching the camera back to you. Have you used the actual gambling portion of this?
Yeah, I've used the Telegram bot, and it works. And I think we've talked about the Azuro sports betting protocol that it's built on top of, and airdrop farming that. Pretty bullish that as a play. What's the reason for the pump recently was, I mean, this was known that it was happening before this, right? That some of these altcoin markets, they're so inefficient. Like you can actually just get an edge just being in like a Discord or a Telegram channel.
Yeah.
But they announced like an actual like usable app
where you can bet. Like sports betting is not that easy to
with
do.
live in-game betting too. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, they have live in-game betting. I mean,
Yeah.
that's hard to accomplish.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I haven't used the gambling app. I still use freaking Bovada, and I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think I have like a pretty good sixth sense now. Like I've looked at so many projects, and at a certain point, you like your eye just picks up a thing. It's like, nope, scam, and you're just gone. Like then, and they're usually very easy to find. Actually, like once you kind of get into it, where you're like, nope, that's a rug. That's a rug. That's a scam. It just immediately. Your friend sends you a website, and you look at it. You're like, this is obviously a scam. They're like, wait, how do you know? It's just like, well,
So this one passed your muster.
it passed the like not an obvious rug / scam test for sure. And I am very bullish on Gamblify. I'm bullish on the idea that we might actually build applications that people want to use. This to me is a use case that makes sense. It's still tricky for a lot of people to gamble. There's a lot of money just chilling in crypto with degenerates who wants to gamble, want to bet on sports. Sports betting is, I think, going to be a big thing over the next year or two.
Dude, I'll be honest, getting money in and out of Bovada is way harder for me than using like the blockchain. So I haven't tried this yet, but I'm interested. And I mean, I'm already in.
Yeah, so it's looking good. Even if you are bullish on the Gamblify narrative, though, like this is just one of
So
dozens of plays within the narrative itself. And although like everything in the narrative that is a real project should do pretty well from like from a zero, if that takes place, you could still pick the wrong horse for sure. So
well, do you know the biggest player in that ecosystem? Like, what's the number one? It's
Rollbit.
Rollbit. That's right.
Yeah, Rollbit's had a lot of turmoil recently. There's been some controversy about look at that double top. Bam. Nailed that. Didn't trade it. Kind of hard to trade this coin. Yeah, Rollbit has had right now I believe it does like a buyback mechanism with like the fees or buy and burn. And there's been some talk to switch to like a rev share. But like the rev share, I think that the coins would have to be deposited on Rollbit itself, and it's not like you can really audit that. The whole thing is kind of sketchy, and there's some people who are like, this is a great idea. People who are not into it. Has caught a nice little pump off the lows from there. I mean, we took a nasty dive. This thing was like a darling of 2023. I mean, still is like some nice gains off the bottom. I don't own any of this. Like I kind of almost bought a bag at once, but it's I don't know. It's just too sketchy for me. Like at least if stuff is like provably sketchy on chain, I'm like whatever. I can see, but this I don't like this. Last thing we've been talking about is gaming and another fresh chart. Beam. I guess this is the merit circle chart, but
there we go.
There's the freshie. Oh, it's just so good. I mean, God, Beam has been absolutely a sight to behold. One of the best plays in gaming, I think, on a risk-adjusted basis for sure. I own a little bit, but it never feels like quite enough.
I'm like so. I'm not even on the fence. I'm like not into the GameFi theme as much as I probably should be, or as much as other people are. It just seems like I see the use case, but I don't know. Gamers fucking hate crypto, so like maybe.
I don't know if I agree with that thesis. I think there's an enormous overlap between crypto and gaming. It is true that some gamers hate crypto, but I think there are so many gamers. I mean, there's quite literally like billions
right
of gamers. It's an enormous market. It's so massive. It's far too complicated for me to sort out. That's why I like like plays like Merit Circle or IMX is the other one we've been kind of. IMX is one of my coins where I was like, yeah, if I could kind of put it all in on one alt, maybe it's IMX, maybe it's Blur. But IMX has been also on a freaking tear, absolute tear, just up only. This is another good case of like it broke out, and I was like, bye, and it just kept going. That was that was way lower on the chart too.
Can you zoom out on that chart, because I bought this one last cycle, and am I like down bad still?
Yeah, gets a little worse without the fresh chart, huh?
Yeah.
Just imagine if this is a fresh chart.
Yeah, I'm probably back there on the left side somewhere.
I mean, we're at the point where there can't be that many underwater people left. Like, you really had to just ape at the wrong
Well, I'm probably there.
time. Yeah, you're definitely there.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? Yeah, Merritt's looking good. Okay, yeah, we're getting a little deep in the episode, so let me see what else I had here to talk about on the old agenda. Let's go down talking about Solana.
Cool.
Solana keeps winning. Bonk
Jeez.
had the Coinbase listing.
Yeah, this is an opportunity where sell the news didn't really play out, right? Or did it?
I mean,
So they listed on
know.
Coinbase.
Dude, this thing just goes up and down like 50% every 3 seconds. What a candle. Holy God.
So was that candle the Coinbase listing, or was that leading up to it? Do you have any
The
idea?
listing. I don't know the exact timing, but this is listing pump. What's really painful is like this seems to be a pattern when we come here, but like I was actually sitting there Tuesday, literally here. Like, maybe it's finally time to buy my bonk. And I just the reason I didn't buy it is because like I don't have like enough funds like on Solana itself, and it's like a pain in the ass for me to do it.
Right.
And then like there's no perp on Bybit. It's
Right.
just spot. And I was like, I need leverage, and I didn't buy it. Like I need fucking leverage on this coin. It's up like 12,000%. I could have bought like nothing and I'd have $1 million. But yeah, it's already up 140% from Tuesday where I wanted.
Good God. This kind of thing. Oh man.
This is gonna be my Luna. You know, before it blew up, of course. But
Yeah. I remember doing this exact same thing with Luna at like $6. I was like,
I had a lot of friends who got in Luna very cheap last cycle, and they just would not shut up.
Rode it all the way, and then all the way back
So many
home.
multiples, and then they wrote. Yeah, a couple of them lost everything, literally everything.
So I am pretty unique in the way that like I don't get a lot of FOMO with this kind of thing. So like I see Bonk and a lot of these tokens that you put up, I'm like, cool, good for you guys. Like I'm just psyched. I don't actually chase that because I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like lower risk tolerance. Like even being in crypto as heavy as I am is already pretty like degen, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is not my game.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. But yeah, the other huge W for Solana I wanted to point out is that did you know that the Solana phone, the Saga, came with a Bonk airdrop?
Like if you bought a phone, you get
It
Bonk.
came with like 30 million Bonk on it.
So I didn't know that Bonk was so like intertwined with the Solana ecosystem. Like
Yeah, it is.
So, like, Mina-
it's a little more. It's more than just a dumb meme.
right, like Mina got a bunch when because she was the Soul sister. She got a bunch for doing her Soul stuff. And the minute that it happened, I was like, get rid of this. Like dump this. And at the time,
Oh, she's probably very happy with you.
well, at the time, it was a smart move because if you zoom back out enough, like this thing,
Oh, she got it like.
she like got the airdrop, like the initial one. So when I told her to dump, she was like, "Oh, good call." And
I'll have
then that hasn't been that good of a call.
When did she get it?
The first initial, like the initial one. So
I don't even know when that.
probably
was.
not the wick, but probably the candle. You know, like candle body.
Oh, candle body. Oh yeah, so she's probably pretty happy with you.
Yeah, I mean,
is she aware? Has she done the math on this?
yeah, she's done the math. Of course, she's done the math.
Oh,
Reminds
she-
me of it all the time.
Eric, I would be up 1,400% right now if I didn't sell my stupid airdrop.
Who needs it?
No, so when the Solana phone came out, I don't know if they still have the bonk on it, but you got 30 million bonk, which I think when it came out was worth roughly like $10. And now the bonk on the phone is worth like $515, and the phone costs $600.
Oh,
So
there
this
you
is
go.
one of those like crypto things that we're taking into the world of, I don't even know if it's TradFi. It's like the world of like physical products. Like the idea that you could buy a physical product and it's free because it comes with like magic internet money that's worth as much as the product is,
Okay, hang
I
on.
find hilarious.
Hang on. I actually, you just kind of unlocked something in my brain where that I imagine is going to be the future. Like that is going to extend well beyond the Solana phone.
It sounds like a thing. I don't know what that actually means, but yeah, in a world where I can just get free stuff because it comes with
mean,
magic coins that are worth
yeah,
as
yeah.
much as the thing.
You
Yeah,
buy
sure.
this product, you get this shit coin, and people are like, "Oh, cool. Well, at least I got this too." And who knows what happens to it next?
Yeah, Chris is buying some Nike sneakers, and they just come with like, yes, the sneakers are $5,000, but they come with $4,900 worth of swoosh coin.
Swoosh
so
coin, yeah.
they're basically free.
Could see it.
The casino is always evolving.
Yeah.
You love to see the new financial derivatives taking place in real time. You love to see the new ways we can use coins to incentivize people to do things. Fascinating industry, always has been, probably will continue to be a thing.
I think we're only getting started here.
Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. For those of you who are watching this live, sorry. We know the computer blew up in the middle of it. We had to finish the rest of it. But if you're listening to this now, we did upload the rest of the episode. We got to the mountaintop. We will see you here again next week, right?
See y'all next week.
Yeah,
it's a bull market. We got to be on top of it.
Yeah, that's not Christmas yet. Week after we'll probably be gone. But next week we got one more. Maybe we'll do might be time for the classic year in review episode.
Yeah, with predictions.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. My predictions last year were so bad. It's a testament to how good I am at changing my mind, really.
But in 2021, you nailed it. In 2021, your prediction was doom.
Get it right. I don't know. You gotta get it right at the right time, and that was great advice. Yeah, good advice, me.
Yeah.
Good thing nobody
Cool.
pays me for this shit. Clearly, I'm tired. Thank you guys for listening. If you are not already, please subscribe to the Alfalfa podcast at what is it? YouTube.com/alfalfapod.
Well, alfalfapod.com.
Alfalfapod.com.
It's a
all
good
links.
place to go.
Yeah, I should know that by now. Alfalfapod.com. You get all the links. You find us on Discord. You know, find us on Twitter. All of the good things. But yeah, we hope to see you guys in the Discord. We hope to see you guys here back with us next week. Hopefully live again and without technical difficulties. And until then, guys, have a lovely weekend.
All right. Later, everybody.